Buddy, you're back! I'm back. I missed you. No, you didn't. Yeah, that's true. Hey, why'd you bring that screaming thing home with you? That screaming thing is a baby. Oh, actually, sorry, I was talking to the baby. Let's go! Good. We all feel Stop! Never gets rusty!
What am I doing?
Into my kitchen! Producer Drew, can you fix all this?
And when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs, you can crumple, yeet! Saw that going differently.
With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR.
Hey everyone, glad to be back. That was awful. Leafs lose 4-1 to the Boston Bruins. Well, that sucked. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm Steve Dangle. I make a video after every Leafs game. That's LFR, Leafs Fan Reaction. Now you know what it stands for. I've missed 7 or so, maybe 8 of these videos in 17 years. I never miss an LFR video. And the last time I missed an LFR video was February of 2020. And the last time I missed an LFR before that, I think was 6 years prior when a grandparent passed in February of 2014. That is why when I announced that I was going to miss last game's LFR video against the Rangers, I was like, but everything's fine. If you're out of the loop, in the early morning of March 3rd, 2024, my wife and I had a baby. Well, she had a baby and I was there. Little Isla. I'm a girl dad now. Or am I just the father of a girl? Like, do I get to be insufferable and be like, I'm a girl dad? Sorry, more insufferable than I usually am. Sorry, I'm trying to put off for as long as possible talking about that game! Oh, stop. They all have white noise machines. It's fine. They can't hear me. Ah! They don't hear that. The other night, while we were at the hospital, Saturday night, the Leafs were playing the Rangers, and it was a slobber knocker of a game. Awesome, back and forth, the anticipation of the Rempe and Reeves fight as well, and then it actually happened. The Rangers tie it late, it goes to overtime, Sammy makes a sensational save, it goes to the shootout, the Leafs have to score to extend it, they do, and it's controversial, and then Max Domi wins it on his birthday, it's perfect. The exact sort of video that I would have loved to have made for you, but my wife was in active labor, and no. Because as much as I wanted to make that LFR video, I wanted to make it less that I want to be alive. Did the thought to dip out of the hospital and shoot a quick LFR on my phone cross my mind? Yes. Did that thought make it out of my mind and into the world? Not until just now, no. And that's why I'm still here. And unfortunately, Isla does not share a birthday with Max Domi. He is March 2nd. She is officially March 3rd because she was born at 2:29 a.m. Real quickly, because I do feel like I owe you this. So many people wanted to know, like, my thoughts on the Matt Rempe versus Ryan Reeves fight. Here it goes. On the podcast, I was talking about Rempe, who is fighting, it seems like he's fighting in more games than he's playing. He's serving way more penalty minutes than minutes he's playing. As I understand it, he stood at the red line during warm-ups. Ryan Reeves did not. Ryan Reeves offered him a fight early. Rempe didn't take it. And then, as far as I can tell, Reeves was like, I will fight him. I could fight him, but I don't have to. And it seemed like Rempe had the same attitude, and it was okay. But then, Rempe completely ran over Ilya Lyubushkin in what I would call his second questionable hit already in his NHL career. He's tall! What's he supposed to do? Oh, good! I love when people ask a question I have an answer to. Throw a legal body check! You're 6'8", why are you leaving your feet? Again, white noise machines, they're fine. They didn't call a penalty, okay, whatever. They rang Ilya Lyubushkin's bell. He didn't return to his return to the Leafs. So, Reeves is like, we're winning. It's the third period. It's late. Our guy's not back yet. I'm on the ice, you're on the ice, you gotta give me one. And full marks to Rempe, he did! I know it seems stupid, but like that is the exact sort of thing that is gonna gain him respect throughout this league. I mean, Reeves obviously seemed to respect it. Keefe seemed to respect the willingness from Reeves to fight Rempe, who Reeves seems to think he has the longest reach he's ever fought, which is wild because he's been fighting for a long time. But on the podcast, I talked about Rempe's health, and I think maybe now, after this fight, it'd be great if he cooled it for a few games. Steve, are you saying he shouldn't fight? I'm saying if he wants to continue to fight, he should stop fighting for just a little bit. But this kid's got the fascination of the whole hockey world right now. So, thanks for letting me talk about that game. This game against the Bruins stunk! And I'm not going to talk about this goal by goal. I think I can break this down actually pretty simply. The Boston Bruins started fantastically, so there was that. This is a group that doesn't always win. They've actually had a surprising amount of embarrassing playoff losses in recent memory, but they sure do have a lot of winning habits. And you're not going to win every game. And last game, they did not win that every game. They lost to the Islanders, and it wasn't very good. And what did they do in this one? They responded. And what a perfect game to respond in. Number one, you had a bad performance the previous game. Number two, The Leafs and Bruins are slated to face each other in the first round right now. You're in Toronto's barn. You have a chance to make a statement here. Or forget the statement, forget all of it. You have a chance to win 2 points. Forget making a statement. You just want to lock up home ice, which it seems like they have pretty comfortably, by the way. There are a bunch of players who didn't have their best game, but there's one that I want to focus on in particular, and it's so disappointing to me. Dude, Timothy Liljegren with TJ Brodie was awful. Justin Williams cited it on the Sportsnet broadcast. I think it was during first intermission. Just the chances the Leafs, and Liljegren specifically, were giving up in the middle. There were other players who didn't look very good too. Nylander, another pretty disappointing defensive performance after getting benched by Sheldon Keefe in the previous game and scoring. But Williams was just talking about like visually, like strategy-wise, the Leafs are giving up the middle. And not Liljegren specifically, but the Leafs, before then focusing on Liljegren individually. That's how it was visually, but what do the numbers say? Well, this is from James Myrtle. Before the game was even finished, look, Riley Lyubushkin, they did well. They controlled the vast majority of the Corsi, the Fenwick, the expected goals for, score-adjusted goals. Listen, you know what some of those things are. You don't know what some of them are. It's good. You see, they're all above 50%. Well above 50%. They're good. Add to that, McCabe, Benoit, all their expected goals, Corsi, Fenwick, score-adjusted expected goals per... Who comes up with these things? Anyway, they did very well at it. Liljegren Brodie was unplayable. Expected goals for percentage of 21.9. You're not going to win games that way. You're not going to win. Forget playoff series. Games. Individually, you're not going to win them. 36.4% Corsi for percentage. You're not going to win. You're not going to win if you have 36.4. Do you know how otherworldly your shooting percentage and goaltending have to be to win games where you are getting less than 40%? To win 4 out of 7, where you are getting less than 40% of shot attempts. You can survive it if your shot attempts are better than theirs, and what these numbers suggest is they're not. The Bruins were not just getting more shot attempts, they were getting better shot attempts when Brodie and Liljegren were out there. And I mean, this picture just sums up their night. There's Pavel Zacha, be very, very quiet, I'm hunting wabbits, and in fairness, it's a tricky, nice pass from David Pastrnak. Joseph Woll didn't track it either. Liljegren's got no idea. And it would be okay if he didn't know where the puck was if he had a man. It's made of vulcanized rubber and played on ice. You're not going to know where it is all the time. Ah! Dude, right there! Which brings me to this. Chris Johnston filled in for me on the Steve Dangle podcast. You are not going to want to miss that. The best insider going, SDPN, I'm not biased or anything. He has his own show, the Chris Johnston Show, but on the Steve Dangle podcast, he filled in for me for about 2 hours, answering Adam and Jesse's questions and discussing the league. One of the things they put him on the spot for it, they said, who are the 3 guys the Leafs are looking at right now ahead of the trade deadline, which is this Friday, by the way. Roll the clip. Here's what he said.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you were to create...
Put me on the spot.
a trade board that's just the Leafs, and I wanted the top 3 on the trade board, what names are going up there?
Zach Bogosian.
Oh, wow. Would he come back?
I'm not sure if he has a say in the matter.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like, he can get traded here.
Sure.
Matt Dumba. David Savard.
But you'd have to blow the Canadians away, they're saying.
Well, yeah, that's probably your first round pick kind of trade.
Yeah, because he's got a couple more years.
He's got one more year after this one.
And
But
they wanted...
he would fit very well.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the same sort of love as Chris Tanev, but if you look at the impacts on the game, it's Chris Tanev-esque. I think he's very good at eating pucks and giving you secure minutes.
And that was something that Treliving outlined. They wanted with Lyubushkin, they wanted stops, right? They wanted...
Yeah, look at the game is played differently in the playoffs. No one knows this more than the Leafs. we have the same discussion every year. I mean, this season's been a little different, although maybe they're going to end up there anyway. But it's like every year they get 115 points and then the game changes and it's like, hey, this can be effective when it matters. Here's the thing. Brad Treliving, which I think is a positive for his job, is known for calling everyone on everything.
Love that.
So when you're me and you're chasing the crumbs and you hear that, he's had conversations on this player, it doesn't necessarily give you the full roadmap of what's going on. I know that those are 3 players that they've at least had some discussions on. I think that they could have some time for, depending on what the acquisition cost is and how other things break in the marketplace.
Okay, well, let's examine that. The Leafs just traded 2 draft picks in order to acquire Ilya Lyubushkin. And then Chris Johnston said they are looking at 3 other right-handed defensemen. They're looking at Zach Bogosian, who could fit the mold of a Luke Schenn. Like, Lyubushkin appears to be playing with Riley temporarily, or at least it seems like that's what the plan is. So Bogosian could be Luke Schenn, another top 5 pick from the 2008 draft, who could fill in next to Morgan Riley. Then there's Matt Dumba. We're going to put him to the side just for a sec because there's a lot to unpack there. Then there's David Savard. I actually think David Savard would be a magical fit for Morgan Riley. I think it would go really well, and he has another year left on his contract. However, if the Leafs have to give the Montreal Canadiens a first-round pick, and it doesn't result in the Leafs winning the Cup or coming darn near tootin' close to winning the Stanley Cup, the discourse around that trade is going to be insufferable for the next decade minimum. But we know what Savard can do. He won the Cup with the Tampa Bay Lightning in, I think that was the 2021 season. Then he went to the Montreal Canadiens, and the dude is right-handed and beats people up. Zach Bogosian. We know about Zach Bogosian. He was here for a little bit. He's right-handed and beats people up. Then there's Matt Dumba. I have to ask, why on earth would the Leafs be going after Matt Dumba? Because look, there are some things he can do. I love his shot, and I really think Dumba's offensive capabilities could be a great match in Toronto. If he's not getting first power play minutes, I think that could be a little concerning. But I think they're also trying to take food off of Riley's plate. Like just ease his load a little bit. Putting Dumba's bomb of a shot out there with the core 4 or whoever else you have out there. Imagine the feasting Bertuzzi could do in front of the net with Dumba at the point. I think that could work. But what have we been talking about for the last 2 weeks while the Leafs were so hot, winning, 9 out of 10 games? Oh my goodness, these D pairs. McCabe and Benoit. Oh, so good. You send them out there, they beat everybody up. Brody Liljegren, they go out there, they stick check everybody to death, and it gets the job done somehow. Take it away, advance the puck up the ice, thank you. Then there's Riley, who hasn't been the best lately, but you gotta remember before that suspension, he was far and away the Leafs' best defenseman. Just get him a partner. And away we go. That's the easy solution right there, and you only need one thing. And then Liljegren, who I've been so disappointed by so often, has this stretch that it feels like he has every season where you go, here he is! That's the guy who was supposed to go top 5 in 2017. He's here! Hey, everybody, he's here! And then a team comes along, and they're like, hey, what if we just crash the net? And he folds like an origami swan. Like the playoffs would come around, and he would get scratched for Justin Hall, and you could shake your head at Sheldon Keefe, and believe me, I did many times, and I screamed for Liljegren to be put in there. There were a lot of games where Hall was just a bigger version of Liljegren, also kind of useless at the front of the net. Dude, this guy cannot crack an egg. The Leafs get a day off Tuesday, and then they play again Wednesday, but honestly, they've already made up their minds. The trade deadline is Friday. If this dude is not in your game 1 lineup when the playoffs show up in April, I think that's it. I really do, and it's disappointing, and I don't want it to be, but that's like, at what age do you just go, oh, okay, that's the type of player this is. That's the maximum this player can do, is he can give you a good month, maybe 2, spread out throughout the season, and none of them are in the spring. What else? David Pastrnak was unreal. The Leafs core guys didn't have the best game. They also got robbed a little by some whistles. An early one preventing Bertuzzi from getting a goal. It just keeps continuing. I hate the whistle that refs have decided to give Matthew Knies, I guess because he's a rookie. I don't know. And man, that Domi Bertuzzi Nylander line is so fun, and they're just as fun as they are, they're getting caved in. From Kevin Papetti, Max Domi's last 10 games by expected goals for percentage, 10.3, oof, Maroon, 32.4, 27.5, 43.3, 67.3, we finally got one where he's winning his minutes, 43.1, 48.8, 24.6, 37.0, and 23.9 tonight. He adds, he's a fine player, but it's tough to envision Sheldon Keefe putting him between Bertuzzi and Nylander for a playoff game. I really don't mind Domi at center. It sucks that like the depth scoring has kind of gone away. I said this months ago on the podcast, I would like to see what Domi can do on the wing, because all we saw of Domi on the wing was earlier this season when the lines were stupid and made no sense. And I think I should end with this. I think this is really important to say. Is the sky falling? No, it's not. It's not. It's really not. Again, they had won 9 of 10 heading into this game. I think their path forward is very clear. You are very, very likely going to play one of Boston or Florida when the playoffs start. You won basically every game for a month straight, and you're still not really close to catching Boston. You're probably going to be the 3rd seed in the Atlantic as long as you can fend off the wild card teams. You're going to be number 3. You're going to be starting the first round on the road. Number 2, you need a right-handed D-man. You do. At least one. Maybe more. And number 3, was Swayman better than Woll in this one? Yes. Was the quality of the defense in front of Swayman far superior to Woll's? Absolutely yes. Yeah, especially in front of the net. Are you kidding me? Now, before we get to questions, you sent me in a lot of really nice questions. I want to get to Marley Minute with Nick Barden, because the Leafs are going to be looking to make trades over the next few days. And people have been talking about how outside of draft picks, well, even with draft picks, the Leafs don't have a whole lot of bullets left. Well, some of those prospects are on the Marlies, and here's Nick Barden to talk about a couple of them. And full disclosure, this was supposed to be 2 videos ago, but I forgot and then also had a baby.
Today I want to talk about 2 Marlies, and in particular, they are Nick Abruzzese and Topi Niemela. And I want to start with Abruzzese, who's having a strong year with the Marlies, but actually it's pretty on par with his rookie season in the AHL last year. Now, Abruzzese plays mostly within the Marlies' top 6. He gets power play time, and through 50 games, he has 9 goals and 25 assists. His hockey IQ is really strong. He's able to find his teammates almost anywhere on the ice, and his biggest attribute is his playmaking, and he's second on the team in assists, but his first pass is always really, really strong. I will say, though, that Abruzzese still has potential to be a full-time player in the NHL. The one thing I will say, though, about him is he's currently struggling with the consistency part of his game at the AHL level and only has 2 points in his last 8 games. One player, though, who I think is thriving right now with the Marlies is Niemela. Standing at 6 feet tall, Niemela would be considered a mid-sized defenseman at the AHL level, though he is playing top pairing minutes with the Marlies, whether it be at 5-on-5 or the power play. And there have been times at this season, because it is his rookie season, where Niemela has struggled, but at this point in the year, I think Niemela is really starting to find his stride. What I've seen from Niemela, though, at this point of the season is he's beginning to get stronger in his own end, whether it's with decision-making or boxing out players from in front of the net. I've noticed this at the beginning of the season too, but he's also a really feisty player, and he's not afraid to mix it up with his opponent, whether it's, again, in front of the net, along the boards, after a whistle. Niemela is down to get into a scrum with guys. I wouldn't say he's ready for the NHL just yet, and I'm not sure I could put a timeline on when that opportunity may come, but I will say this, that there is tangible progress being made from Niemela at the AHL level.
Leafs cupboards, maybe not as bare as you think. There are some players who teams might value, but I want to keep them. But you got to give something to get something, and it's torture. Questions. Title, it was 4-1 again. No, I just don't want to. No. This isn't a question, it's just a fun exchange. The first game of Leo's life was a win versus Montreal. The first game of Isla's life was a loss versus Boston. Now we wait. Robert Malloy, who does the captions for these videos, says Leo's was the loss against Columbus, I think. And Ernie Clement, enjoyer, said, it's forgettable, but we played an exhibition game versus Montreal before that, though. Remember Muzzin, murdered Belzile? And Robert said, oh, that one. Remember when Ilya Mikheyev scored, a minute into the warm-up game for the bubble? And we were like, oh, yeah, he's going to be great. and he didn't do anything. And now he's on Vancouver also doing that. Did the baby enjoy the game at least? Oh, dude, the baby enjoyed the game so much more than I did. She slept through the whole thing. And this seemed to be the most common question, so screw it, I'll just talk about it. How's Isla? Isla is wonderful. She's the apple of my eye. She has a full head of very dark hair. She looks identical to baby photos of her mother. She was born, what was it? 8 pounds, 3 ounces, which is way bigger than Leo was. She's just crushing food, crushing sleep. I've only known her for like, let me look, less than 48 hours, but she seems pretty cool, pretty chill. She's loud though. She's got a way louder scream than the first one. Oh, that's my kid. I do, however, want to give a shout out to, well, first of all the hardworking staff at Oshawa Hospital. You were absolutely incredible and helped us all be comfortable throughout the process. But I also want to give a shout out to the dude who became a new dad. I think it was with his second kid, who came up to me in the birthing suite and was like, "Hey, are you Steve Dangle?" Dude, I had a mask on and glasses and everything. Like, how? I have, like, relatives who wouldn't notice me with that stuff. Hope Murphy's doing okay. I think you said you named him Murphy. I forgot to ask your name. I got the baby's name. This is Murphy. Unless you're Murphy. I think the baby's Murphy. Little baby Murphy. Shout out to Murphy. Before I go, the podcast schedule will not be interrupted this week. There's still going to be a podcast on Wednesday, and we're going to record the VIP episode Wednesday. And we're going to have trade deadline coverage Friday. So we'll have a fill-in host for the VIP episode and also the full Wednesday episode. I may make an appearance. I would like to make an appearance. I would also like to catch up on sleep. It's difficult. It's a very difficult balance. I think I'm going to make an appearance. Friday, I'm going to be at SDPN Studios all day, dawn till dusk. We're going to record video after video after video. We're going to put them into an audio feed. And at the end of it, we're also just going to do a full trade deadline draft recap episode. That'll be the Friday episode. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. I said thank you for all the lovely words. You're all lovely people. And it's been a busy week, and it's only going to get busier. Buckle up.